Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special presentation of NCC News Tonight. Tonight, we aren't just bringing you generalized news. Tonight, we are looking into the stories that matter to you, the student. So, tonight, we are going to start off by looking into next year's dining plan and how that decision was made. I'm going to have an exclusive interview with SGA President Michael Mays. Next up, we're going to have Claire talking to a student and their concerns about the COVID-19 protocols changing here on campus with the recent removal of the in-class mask mandate. And finally, Brandon Szabo is going to be looking deeper into VAR, or video assisted refereeing, in the world of soccer. We have a really exciting show for you tonight, so let's get started. Starting out first, the most important thing to students right now, the new dining plan for next semester. We're going to go live in front of Kaufman Dining Hall, and we're going to take a look at my exclusive interview with Michael Mays. Hi, I'm coming to you live from in front of Kaufman Dining Hall. This is the main dining hall here on campus at North Central College. Just a couple weeks ago, students got this email regarding next year's dining plan. This is actually quite a step down, according to most students, from this year's dining plan, which started the year off with a lot of controversy.
So one of the important things with any type of policy change is having data and statistics to be able to support what you're trying to claim. And so that's why we were very intentional about quickly sending out a survey to get students' feedback on how they felt about the different dining halls on campus, kind of their satisfaction of just their experience, quality of food, and which locations they prefer. Once we got that data, we sent it over to the dining services and the Vice President of Financial Affairs to discuss what needed to be done to make sure we could address the concerns that students had.
Starting this fall, Student Governance Association played a huge role in forming a dining committee where students were able to represent themselves to the dining services that are provided to North Central students.
So after that, we had a kind of like a fireside chat when we invited Chartwell's, the Vice President of Finance for North Central College, all of the Student Government Association executives, as well as an open panel for students to kind of really voice their opinion. So we had the data that was on the table, and then being able to have like personal stories and experience in person so they can see that there's something that was a serious concern to students on campus. So the dining committee was brought up as an idea by our Vice President of Student Affairs Athletics, Jessica Brown, which then SGA adopted it and presented it to Chartwell's. Chartwell's was in favor, and so we gave that idea and proposal over to Chartwell's to manage it, just because of the capacity of SGA, and then for it to actually be effective, we thought it would be better coming out of their office. And it's managed by Elizabeth Waiters, that is a part of dining Chartwell's committee staff people. And so if you're interested in getting involved, it's an easy email to Chartwell saying, hey, I want to get involved with the dining committee, or to SGA, and they have their scheduled meetings. I haven't been able to attend one of those, but I know we have representatives that have been able to provide more direct feedback. But yeah, they have their meetings once a week and give that feedback directly to the Chartwell's team and their chefs.
I was able to get the opportunity to ask Michael what he believed the Student Governance Association's role was in forming next year's dining plan.
I wish SGA had more of a final say in what the meal plan is and was. I know it was presented to us and we gave our feedback, but we don't ultimately have final say in what comes out. I do wish that was something that we could actually have a little bit more say in. But nevertheless, you know, the committees, they did come as we asked with the presentation of their proposal. And we gave our thoughts on the proposal, but you know, ultimately it comes from dining services and Vice President of Finance on what, you know, that meal plan looks like. But yeah, I always think it's definitely room for improvement. I think there were definitely great benefits to this year as far as things that we were able to accomplish and do. But as I said, I'm the biggest critic. I think there's always room to do better and do more.
When I had the opportunity to ask Michael what he wanted to see in the future as he's graduating this May, he said that he would like to see student satisfaction go way up.
What I would like to continue to see is student satisfaction continue to go up, because I look at everything, at least majority of things, as a business relationship. And truth be told, students are the consumers of North Central College, the consumers of education, the student experience, the academic experience. And if that satisfaction is not high, that's just not a good business plan to follow. So whatever that may look like, and I know every 4 years it changes, even heck, every year it changes. So whatever that group of students want to see that year changed or implemented, I just hope that the next administration can continue to hear students and make those changes so that satisfaction can be high. I would just like to see students have fun on campus, participate in things, knowing that it's all right to have that balance of fun and academia at the same time. So honestly, whatever the students want is what I would like to see implemented next year.
Reporting live from Kaufman Dining Hall, my name is Michael Griffin. Perfect. I really hope that eventually administration may finally start listening to students and the demands that they have for their dining options. Next up, shout out to Clara Roth for getting us this interview with Annie Banks as she shares her concerns and her thoughts on the updated mask policy and COVID policies here at North Central College. When Annie was asked how she felt about the updated guidelines here at North Central, this is what she had to say.
I think that when they first decided to drop the masks, it was really frightening because I'm immunocompromised. My sister is immunocompromised and my mother is immunocompromised. So I was at home the first time that they dropped the masks and I was very anxious. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to go out in public without a mask. I didn't want to do that not because I didn't want to go to work or go out in public, but because I was living in the south suburbs and they did not believe in the COVID-19 pandemic. They thought it was a hoax. They didn't believe it was real. So the masks really haven't been present there. North Central, on the other hand, has been very aware of it. They could be more aware. I think that with them dropping the masks, they were uncertain, and I think they kept in mind their own benefits before their students. I think they wanted to prioritize how the school's reputation would look and not understand how this would affect certain groups of students. Those who may be immunocompromised, those who may be uncomfortable being around unmasked individuals on their daily basis. I have now become much more comfortable with it because I am triple vaxxed. I got the first 2 vaccines and then I got the booster when that was available in December. From there, I plan on getting more as they roll out and they are approved by the FDA. But yeah, I think that we have a plan in place and we have a way to go about making sure that we are taking every initiative and every step forward to making sure that we get this under control. Makes me a lot more comfortable compared to them saying in the summer, hey, it's gone, you guys are good. And then a few months later, they were like, actually, we were really hasty about this and we're no longer good and we have to redo this. And having that trial and error come back with some success puts me in a more confident position where I can say this could be it. And we could be approaching the end of this 2.5 year span of uncertainty and mistrust in one another.
When Annie asked whether or not there was ever a point where she would be comfortable enough to maybe go without a mask continuously or without having one on her, this is what she had to say.
I think that the consequences are so much greater, and it's not a time to be selfish. I can understand hesitations or reservations within reason. There are some, extreme ideas out there and extreme theories out there that don't exactly align and are constantly spreading misinformation. I don't think that this is a time to put faith in a community. I think there's a time and place for that. But because of the first few responses that were so polarized from one another on a national and international level, I think we need to understand that this is not just personal security, but we have to eliminate our own selves from the situation. When knowing that I have a heart condition, my sister has Crohn's, my mom has asthma. My heart condition and my sister's Crohn's are not as vulnerable as asthma. However, that means that I don't know how that vulnerability might impact someone else.
Yeah.
Someone could have the same diagnosis as my sister or have the same procedures I did and be more susceptible to this. I think that we need to understand that this is in the concept for serving the greater good. and not a time to brush up against other people who may have opposing views. We are past the point where we're questioning whether this works or whether it doesn't. I think that we are so far ahead of these skepticisms that we need to set those aside. It isn't the time to challenge one another right now. It's not the time to do our own research or to search and really dig into our own ideas. That's going to set us back even more. We were set back so far already, and I think that we're rounding this corner as a society that allows us to keep going. Social responsibility is implied. It is implied based on your own morals, your own ethics, and your own values. I think that if we keep those in check, and we treat others as we would want to be treated from our own outside perspective, that is the way that we're going to keep this going.
When asked whether or not she believes that unvaccinated people should pay for the medical care or understand that there are consequences for not protecting themselves, this is what she had to say.
We're at a point where we understand some of what COVID-19 is capable of, and if you elect to make the decisions rooted in your own ignorance, in your own declination to pay attention to what's going on fully, then maybe you do. Maybe, if you are sent to the ICU because you made the decisions to not protect yourself or protect others, or your family member is in a vulnerable position because of your own ignorance and your own arrogance against the situation, the consequences are always going to follow an action. And that does, for those who are taking the measures necessary, those consequences are less severe. You are benefiting those around you, and you are benefiting yourself. However, I think that there is no excuse for someone to just completely deny what is happening after denying themselves of working towards a conclusion.
Again, shout out to Claire Roth for getting that amazing interview with Annie. Next up, we have Brandon. He's going to talk to a soccer referee about his thoughts and his feelings on video-assisted referee systems.
Technology has an impact on many people's lives, and one of these impacts is VAR. VAR is a video assistant referee that has been going through many trials that has began in 2016.
Before taking a deep dive into the controversies of VAR, Namir Tabani, a semi-pro referee, goes into detail of how VAR works.
Hello, my name is Namir Tabani. I'm a collegiate soccer referee through NASOA, the National Intercollegiate Soccer Officials Association, as well as USSF soccer referee as well. My aspect with VAR and what VAR is slightly different than what is used in professional games. In collegiate games, we use something called a video review, which is around the same, but looks at different things overall. But tell you more about VAR. VAR pretty much works in a separate location as where the game is currently being played. They use a multitude of cameras that are at the stadium to analyze what's going on in the game and provide feedback towards the referee from the video assistant referee who's at the other location. He would have a mic piece and he would be able to communicate directly with the referee and basically talk about game-changing decisions that have happened and also checking fouls here and there. Our aspect of VAR, which we use in collegiate soccer, is called video review. It's slightly different. Only the referee can make the call to use video review. It's mostly for check purposes. So, for example, it's determining whether the ball crossed the goal line completely. It's determined for seeing if we gave the yellow or red card to the right person in a specific incident. It's used for if fights occur to determine who's in charge, who initiated it, what kind of disciplinary actions we do need to give out. Determining whether the foul was a violent behavior 1 or a violent behavior 2. Those are both different send-off issues, and we use it to determine if the severity and malice of the foul was there for it to be a violent behavior 2 foul, which has a much bigger penalty than a violent behavior 1 foul. And then finally, correcting timing issues within the game. So if we initiated a restart and we had to fix the clock for that, we would use we would use the video review for that.
VAR's first major use was during the 2018 World Cup in Russia. A total of 335 incidents were checked by VAR over the course of the group stage, averaging 7 per match and 14 calls by the referees were changed or overruled after being reviewed by VAR. According to FIFA, the VAR system has had a success rate of 99.3%, up from 95% of correct calls by referees without VAR. While this was a good look for VAR, VAR has had some controversy since the 2018 World Cup, as it has been introduced to other leagues and domestic cups. There have been instances of inconsistency over the past few seasons, and it has caused outrage from players, coaches, owners, and fans. Some of these controversies include not calling a foul when it should be called, a foul being called but should be reversed, or not even taking the time to look at a situation when it should be looked at. However, Tabani has the answers to these controversies.
As far as controversies go with VAR, it's very easy to think that VAR is pretty much just doing the referee's job, but really it isn't. The referee does make the final call in any scenario. Offsides, usually we lean very much towards VAR to make that decision. However, if it's like fouls or anything like that, the referee does make the final call on those decisions. It's pretty much just a check tool. So if a foul did occur, perhaps in like the 45th minute, and it's a very severe foul that the referee probably did not have a good angle on and gave out a yellow card. In the professional setting, of course, or like MLS or something like that, they would go in back and have the video referee would then look at the foul, think that might be a red card, and then tell the referee to do a double check just to make sure what he thought. And all of this is pretty much just like checks and balances type thing. So we want to make sure that we're making the best call on the field. And if we are using VAR, then that does help us make the best call. As far as like controversies and inconsistencies go, again, the decision is up to the referee at the end of the day. And the referee has, I could speak from experience because I have gone through extensive training to make these decisions. And we look at a multitude of factors when making these decisions. So we don't purely just rely on the VAR. It is a help tool that we use to make our final decision. But most of the time we just make the decisions on the field. We don't really need the use of VAR for almost all decisions, except for maybe one or two. Controversies wise, there's always going to be controversies with new technology. Again, it hasn't been implemented for a very, very long time. But I feel like there's a very good horizon for the technology being used in a very good way in the future.
While it may seem that VAR is the issue, it is up to the referee's discretion to take a look him or herself, as they are the ultimate decider of what should or shouldn't be called.
The way that it's kind of being used now, I believe, is probably one of the best ways to use it. If we use it as like a tool to check every single little thing that the referee did, there would be no flow to the game. The game would be stopping every 5-6 minutes, maybe even like one, not even a minute. Just because they would have to check everything. Well, they do check everything, but if you're going to question every single little call that the referee made, then the game would have basically no flow to it. The way that they're doing it now, only using it for bigger decisions such as goal, no goal, red cards, penalties. I'm talking about VAR, not video review. Video reviews for only collegiate soccer. But the way that they're using it right now, I feel like if they only use it for where it's big decisions, it is a very, very useful tool to the game. Just because the referee, he has to look at the 11 players on each side, the benches, the technical areas, and looking at all of that while moving around on the field it is slightly difficult. So if he gets help from the videos, then I would say that there's probably nothing wrong with that, especially because it only is being used as a advisory tool and not making decisions.
I'm Brandon Saba, reporting live from Benny Del Worley Stadium, home of the Cardinals.
Perfect, Brandon. Thank you so much for that covering. Thank you for tuning into NCC News tonight in this special edition, paying attention to what you guys care about. And if you noticed that I had an outfit change between the beginning of the show and this, thank you for paying attention. You have a great evening. This is Michael Griffin with NCC News.